皆さんこんにちは。島民のお話を聞くシリーズです。3回目の今回はこの島の大統領夫妻がお話をしてくれています。島に移住したきっかけや大切に思っていることなど率直にお話ししてくれています。小さな島の大統領は果たしてどんな人なんでしょうか。ではどうぞ。
We were being paid lots of money, which we didn't really want or need, but we had no time. So we'd had this original plan. We can live that lifestyle, which everybody regards as being hugely successful. And we dabbled in it in the 80s, you know, we did just the London and all the rest of it, and Marbella and all that. But
Northern yuppies.
Yeah, it just wasn't for us. And so we were sort of sitting there saying, why are we having to work 70, 80 hours? For money we don't really want or need.
And pay everybody else to do all the things we'd like to do. Look after our garden, look after our house.
And I got up one morning and I looked out of the window and I looked at the cars that we'd got outside and I sort of felt ashamed at how much money we had invested in motor cars. We sort of said, right, it's time.
And it was a bit of a shock at how little we actually
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
26 years.
Okay.
And so doing it that way, we got to that point where we said, yeah, okay, now we're going to jump off. And we looked up to Scotland and looked there and had a look in France and then just happened upon here. And as Gabrielle said, we did a week and got back and put the house on the market and then spent a really difficult year trying to sell the house because we were so desperate to come here. And
I mean, looking back, you think, that is the most stupid thing to do. But it just felt right and we just sold everything, packed in, working and gave it a go. We came. Our friends were saying to us, "You won't last 6 months. What are you going to do?" You know, after 26 years, I said, "What do you do?" I said, "I don't know."
And it's hard to
but I
define,
never have
isn't
enough time.
And yeah, because it's sort of in our hearts always how we wanted to live, and we just got sort of caught up in that whole idea of more is better. And success is represented by what you've got.
Yes.
And we're pretty simple souls,
Yeah,
really.
we are.
When living here is a challenge because you're on an island and you cycle past and you go, "Oh, the boat hasn't come in today, no food." It is hard, I think, for families that are trying to hold down a few jobs because it's quite expensive to live here. I think it's hard for a few people for a period of time. But hopefully they get enough out of the rest of Alderney that they still think it's worthwhile in this day. Well, where else would you have a president, for heaven's sake?
I know.
On an island 3.5 miles by 1.5 miles.
It's a strange thing. It's a really important role within this community, irrespective of who does it. But the fact that they have a president means a lot to people. And again, that's a real responsibility. We're not social people, despite what we're doing at the moment. But by and large, for 23 years, we've very much kept ourselves to ourselves. But we've also done lots and lots of voluntary work. So our social life is during the day, and it's the people we meet when we go shopping or when we go to the jumble sales or when we help out at stuff. And that works really well for us. You know that when somebody loses their husband or their wife, they're not going to be on their own. You know, that we have networks here to make sure that people are supported. And
they're not official.
No, it's just
people look after each other and they look out for each other.
You know, these are all the sort of things which have always seemed important to us and seems to be important, not to everybody here. You know, I'm not saying for a minute this is paradise for everybody, because it isn't, because, you know, we've got people here who really face challenges. But you know, that's all part of that mix. So I think we, as a small community, actually understood how important it was to protect each other as well as ourselves. Yeah. And again, so it's that connecting community and that supporting of each other, which, you know, it's part of that feeding of the soul, really. It's a basic humanity that we share here.
You know, if you're stuck at the airport, everybody's stuck at the airport. If the boat doesn't come in for you, it doesn't come in for everybody. And so you think about things in a different way, because the people on the island are your extended family, really.
Yeah, the way the other remarkable thing, people say, why does everybody wave at each other here? What's all palaver.
I know it's bonkers.
And you just
I
go,
know, but it's lovely.
I don't know, we just do it.
But
And-
if people change the car number plate or change the car, you quite often don't recognise them for a bit.
I'm often waving at the wrong person.
Who's that?
yeah, I mean, again, it's all these sort of anachronisms and all these little things which, you know, to most people would seem stupid, but actually if you value them as part of a bigger thing, then I think it's just brilliant. Why, we're human beings, we're tactile animals. I don't think we should, and you know, this is part of my presidential pitch, if you like, we should never underestimate the value of the volunteers on this island, because without them, this island doesn't function. And, you know, without the ambulance, without the town fire service, people putting themselves at risk for the community should inspire us all here to say, okay, well, if they're making that contribution, I'm going to make my contribution by doing something I can do. And, you know, we do it brilliantly. I mean, look at Alderney Week. You know, that is just a celebration of people here putting themselves out.
But it's up to us. It's up to the community.
The people make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you add the people to the environment, then you've got you know, it's win-win, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've got both. You've got a really caring community, and you've got a fantastic natural environment, which, you know, which feeds the soul and nurtures and supports everything else everybody does here.
And you can see the stars, and you can stand outside, and you can hear the sound
breathe
of
it in.
silence.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. It's a very special place.